With the outlook for international air travel dim because of the continuing pandemic, Lufthansa says it now expects to operate at only 20 to 30% of capacity for the remainder of the year and plans to cut more jobs. The move by the German airline group comes as a surprise to retired United Airlines pilot and expert Ross Amer.
Lufthansa is one of the strongest airlines in terms of finances and passenger satisfaction, route structure. So that comes as kind of a surprise. But you can imagine if Lufthansa is facing this horrific dilemma, other airlines that don't have Lufthansa's strength, can you imagine what happens to them?
One of the unions representing Lufthansa employees criticized plans to cut staff, but said it's open for more talks with the airline, which in June got a $10.5 billion state bailout. The airline group says it wants to reduce the nearly $584 million in cash it has been spending every month. University of Reading Law School's George Gira explains.
Airplanes are typically leased, but you have to pay money to the leasing company. You also have to pay airports to have space in which you can land. And you add those things up with the amount of staff that you have, that's a lot of money, which is overhead, which any well-run airline has. And Lufthansa is considered to be a well-run airline.
With fewer people flying, the airline is also making changes to its fleet, withdrawing some from service.
The reason for that is they clearly expect very low demand for a certain period of time. So when you have this level of shock, where people just aren't ready for this kind of big problem, what do you do?
But after cutting jobs, there is a dilemma, say experts such as Amer. What happens after the pandemic when people start traveling again?
If and when this nightmare is over and passengers have enough confidence into coming back, airlines will find themselves without pilots, because just like aircraft into storage, you're putting people into storage. And to get them back into working condition, it takes a long time and it's very expensive.
A summer bump in vacation travel proved short-lived in Europe as coronavirus infection rates surged again in Spain, France, and elsewhere, prompting new travel curbs and quarantines. On Tuesday, global airlines called for airport COVID-19 tests for all departing international passengers to replace the mandatory quarantines, blamed for exacerbating the travel slump. International Air Transport Association head Alexandre de Gignac.
A systematic testing of all passengers at departure would guarantee that you fly people who are not infected by the virus or with the risk of being infected, which is very, very limited by the sensitivity of the test.
On Wednesday, Lufthansa announced it plans to expand coronavirus on-the-spot tests for passengers before boarding, a measure it deems essential to reviving global air travel. Mariama Diallo, VOA News.